Before you go any further, imagine this. Right now, somewhere in the world, there is someone younger than you, less tired than you, more focused than you. And they are quietly building a life you keep telling yourself you'll start tomorrow. They are not special. They are not chosen. They simply started while you were still thinking. And if that thought makes you uncomfortable, good. Because that discomfort is the truth knocking at your door. Now here's the part that will disturb you even more. Even if you work harder starting today, even if you sacrifice, stay disciplined, stay consistent, there will still be someone doing better than you. Someone earning more, someone growing faster, someone reaching where you want to go before you. So if your entire sense of worth is built on being ahead of others, then you have already lost. Subscribe before we go deeper, because what you're about to hear is not motivation, it's confrontation. Part 1. The moment it starts. It doesn't begin with failure. It begins quietly, almost invisibly. You wake up one morning, open your phone, and within seconds, your mind is flooded with other people's lives. Someone got promoted. Someone bought a car. Someone is traveling. Someone looks confident, sharp, in control. And suddenly, without even realizing it, your brain starts measuring. It starts calculating where you stand. And just like that, your normal life begins to feel small. Nothing changed in your reality. You still have the same opportunities, the same time, the same potential. But your perception shifted, and perception is powerful enough to turn gratitude into dissatisfaction in seconds. This is how comparison enters your life. Not as an enemy, but as a habit. A daily, repeated, normalized habit that slowly rewires how you see yourself. Part 2. The lie you were taught. From a very young age, you were trained to compare. School ranked you. Society measured you. Family compared you. Look at him. Why can't you be like her? He's ahead of you. You're falling behind. And without realizing it, you accepted a dangerous belief. That your value depends on your position relative to others. But here's the truth no one told you. There is no universal timeline for life. There is no single path that everyone must follow. And there is absolutely no final point where you can stand and say, now I am ahead of everyone. Because the moment you reach one level, another level appears. The moment you surpass one person, 10 more stand ahead. The race never ends. It only changes form. So, if you keep playing this game, you are choosing a life where satisfaction is always temporary and insecurity is permanent. Part 3. Why you feel like a failure. You don't feel like a failure because you are failing. You feel like a failure because you are constantly exposed to outcomes that don't belong to your journey. You are comparing your behind-the-scenes reality, your doubts, your slow progress, your invisible effort, with someone else's visible results. And the mind, when fed incomplete information, always creates the worst conclusion. It doesn't say, they had different circumstances. It doesn't say, they started earlier. It simply says, you are behind. And once that belief settles in, everything you do starts to feel insufficient. Part 4. The brutal Stoic truth. The Stoics understood something that most people avoid. There will always be someone better than you. Not sometimes. Not occasionally. Always. No matter how skilled you become, someone will surpass you. No matter how much you earn, someone will earn more. No matter how disciplined you are, someone will outwork you. This is not pessimism. This is reality. And once you truly accept this, something powerful happens. You stop chasing superiority and start chasing control. Because Stoicism teaches that peace does not come from being the best. It comes from mastering what is within your control and detaching from what is not. And other people's success is not in your control. Part 5. The mental trap you keep falling into. Every time you compare, you think you are gaining clarity. You think you are evaluating your position, analyzing your progress. But what you are actually doing is weakening your mind, because comparison does not push you forward. It pulls your focus away from your own path and places it onto someone else's. And when your attention is not on your own life, your life stops moving. You start overthinking instead of acting. You start doubting instead of building. You start watching instead of doing. And slowly, you become a spectator in your own life. Part 6. The shift that changes everything. There is only one comparison that will ever benefit you. Not you versus them. You versus who you were yesterday. That is it. Because yesterday's version of you had your exact circumstances, your exact limitations, your exact resources. And if you can improve even slightly from that version, then you are moving forward. It may not look impressive to the world. It may not get likes or validation, but it is real progress, and real progress compounds. Part 7. Why you must let go. Holding on to comparison feels safe because it gives you a reference point. It tells you where you stand, but in reality it traps you in a cycle where your self-worth is constantly fluctuating based on external factors. One day you feel ahead, the next day you feel behind. One moment you feel confident, the next moment you feel like nothing. This instability is not strength, it is dependence. And Stoicism teaches independence, the ability to remain steady regardless of what happens around you. Part 8. The final truth you can't escape. One day, all of this will end. Your comparisons, your insecurities, your need to be ahead, none of it will matter. The only question that will remain is simple. Did you live your life? Or did you spend it measuring yourself against others? Because there is a difference, a massive difference. One leads to growth, experience, and meaning. The other leads to anxiety, hesitation, and regret. Part 9. The silent damage of comparison. The most dangerous thing about comparison is not that it makes you feel bad for a moment. It's that it slowly rewires how you see yourself over time. At first, it's just a small thought, a brief feeling that maybe you're behind. But when this happens every day, multiple times a day, it stops being a thought and becomes a belief. And once it becomes a belief, it starts shaping your identity. You begin to see yourself as the one who is behind, the one who is not enough, the one who is always catching up. And when you believe that about yourself, your actions start to reflect it. You hesitate more. This is how comparison steals your future, not by stopping you instantly, but by slowly convincing you that moving forward is pointless. Part 10. Your mind is not designed for this world. Understand this clearly. Your brain was not built to process the lives of thousands of people every single day. It interprets highlight reels as reality, as if everyone around you is winning, except you. So it reacts the only way it knows how, by making you feel inadequate. Not because you are, but because it's overwhelmed. Part 11. The illusion of being behind. You keep telling yourself you are behind, but behind what? Behind someone who started earlier? Behind someone with different opportunities? You are not behind. You are just on a different timeline. And this idea of a correct timeline is one of the biggest lies you've ever believed. Because life is not a race with a fixed track. It's a path you create while walking. Part 12. Why winning doesn't fix it. Even if you start winning, comparison doesn't stop. You think, once I make money, I'll feel better. But then you see someone making more. You think, once I achieve this goal, I'll finally feel enough. But that feeling never comes. Because comparison moves the goalpost every time you get close. The problem is the game you are playing. Part 13. Detaching your self-worth. Stoicism teaches something most people resist. Your worth is not determined by external outcomes, not money, not status, not recognition. Your worth is determined by your character, your discipline, your consistency, your ability to act despite discomfort. These are things no one can take from you. And more importantly, these are things you can control. Part 14. Building internal validation. Right now, you are looking outside for validation. You want proof that you are doing well. But external validation is unstable. It depends on opinions and trends. Internal validation comes from knowing, deeply, that you are doing what you said you would do, that you are showing up, that you are improving. When you reach that point, you don't need to look at anyone else anymore. Part 15. The discipline most people avoid. It takes no effort to compare. It takes effort to focus. That is why most people stay stuck, because focusing on your own path requires you to face yourself, your weaknesses, your excuses, your lack of discipline. Comparison distracts you from that. It gives you something else to look at. But growth only happens when you stop looking away. Part 16. The moment you realize the truth. There will be a moment where something shifts. You will stop caring about where others are, not because you don't see them, but because you understand that it has nothing to do with you. Their path is theirs. Your path is yours. And mixing the two only creates confusion. This realization is not loud, it's quiet. But once it happens, it changes everything. Part 17. Regret is the enemy. You are afraid of being behind, but what you should really be afraid of is regret. Regret of not starting. Regret of wasting time comparing. Regret of knowing you could have done more, but didn't. Because one day, you won't care who was ahead. You will only care about what you did with the time you had. Part 18. The final shift. So here is what you need to understand. You will never win the comparison game. Never. There will always be someone faster, better, richer, smarter. Always. But you don't need to win that game. You need to leave it. Because the moment you stop comparing, you reclaim your focus. You reclaim your energy. You reclaim your direction. And that is where real progress begins. Part 19. The hidden addiction you don't notice. Comparison is not just a habit, it's an addiction. It gives you a strange sense of control. When you compare yourself, you feel like you are evaluating your life. But it's not, because instead of taking action, you are stuck in observation. Instead of building your life, you are studying someone else's. The worst part, the more you do it, the harder it becomes to stop. Because your brain starts craving that constant input, that constant checking, measuring, judging. It becomes a loop you don't even question anymore. You don't realize it's draining you until you feel empty. Part 20. Why you keep going back. You tell yourself, I'll just check for a minute, just one scroll, just one look. But it's never just one. Because every time you see someone ahead, your brain reacts. It asks, why not me? What am I doing wrong? These questions don't motivate you. They paralyze you. They create pressure without direction. And pressure without direction leads to burnout. Part 21. The dangerous shift in your identity. At some point, comparison stops being something you do. It becomes something you are. You start identifying as the person who is always trying to catch up. You walk into rooms already feeling smaller. You hesitate before even trying, because you assume others are ahead. And this is where it becomes dangerous. Because now, it's no longer about external reality. It's about internal belief. And internal beliefs shape everything. Part 22. You are not seeing the full picture. Every person you compare yourself to is incomplete information. You see their success, but you don't see their failures. You see their results, but you don't see their sacrifices. You are comparing your full reality to someone else's edited version, and then you judge yourself for not matching it. That is not fair. But your mind doesn't care about fairness. It cares about patterns. Part 23. The cost you are paying. Every moment you spend comparing, you are losing something. Not money, not time. something more valuable. Focus, because attention is your most powerful resource. Where your attention goes, your life follows. And if your attention is constantly on others, your life will always feel out of control. Part 24. Stoic discipline. The Stoics understood something most people ignore. You cannot always control what appears in your mind, but you can control what you choose to focus on. And that choice, repeated daily, becomes your life. So when comparison appears, and it will, you don't entertain it. You don't follow it. You return your focus to your own path, again and again, until it becomes natural. Part 25. Narrowing your world. Right now, your world is too wide. Too many people, too many standards. That's why you feel lost, because you are trying to measure yourself against 1,000 directions at once. Instead, narrow your world. Focus on your goals, your habits, your daily actions. Make your world small enough that you can actually control it. Because control creates clarity, and clarity creates progress. Part 26. The moment you stop caring. There comes a moment where something shifts inside you. You see someone doing better than you, and you don't react. Not because you're emotionless, but because you understand. Their success does not take anything away from you. You understand that your path is independent. You understand that comparison is optional. And in that moment, you feel free. Part 27. What your life could become. Imagine this. You wake up and you don't check what others are doing. You don't measure your life against anyone. You don't feel that constant pressure to be ahead. Instead, you focus, you work, you improve, move forward, quietly, without needing validation, without needing comparison. That is power. Part 28. Final build-up. Right now, you have two choices. You can keep comparing, keep doubting, keep hesitating, or you can stop now. Because the longer you stay in this cycle, the more time you lose. And time is the one thing you will never get back. Final ending. There will always be someone ahead of you. Let them be. Because their journey was never yours. You don't need to catch up. You don't need to prove anything. You just need to move forward every single day, in your own direction, at your own pace, without looking sideways. Because the moment you stop comparing is the moment you finally start living. If this changed how you think, subscribe, because most people will hear this and still go back to comparing tomorrow. Don't be most people.